All right, Sunday morning quarterback time at Memorial Stadium, spring game. If you were there Saturday, you saw a quarterback of the future in Dylan Riola. I mean, all three quarterbacks in terms of the guys we talk about with Kalen and Harburg on display, but really Riola stole the show.
Yeah, and look, Hunter Harburg had some good throws, but the plays and throws that Dylan Riola made were just superior throws. We haven't seen quarterbacks at Nebraska make these kinds of throws in a while where, I mean, guys were covered and he was getting the ball in the window. You know, guys that came here as good recruits that have never really flashed because the quarterback can't get them the ball. All of a sudden, those guys looked pretty good today, and I thought that was really promising to see Dylan Riola look so comfortable as well. And then we find out after the game he's going to train with Patrick Mahomes at least a few days over the month of May down in Kansas City.
It's interesting, too, watching Riola extend plays, being patient. There was one where he kind of towed the line of scrimmage going horizontally and waiting for one of his receivers to open up, and that's big-time stuff right there.
Yeah, that's understanding the play. And look, he goes over to his Uncle Donovan's house, the offensive line coach, and he studies the protections and does simulation snaps of them in his living room. So he's here for football. He wants to be a great football player. He's got some advantages, having an uncle that's the O-line coach and you know, being able to train with some of the people he trains with. But this kid really gets it, and he's got talent that, you know, you just can't coach.
He's on one of the number of guys who came to Nebraska early instead of staying in high school. There was a whole bunch of those guys who made marks Saturday at the spring game.
Yeah, there were 23 high school and transfer players they added. That was the largest number in history for Nebraska they brought in that semester. And to see those guys all flash. Vincent Shavers looked good this spring, but Ja'Cory Barney, wow, out of Miami. And by the way, both Shavers and Barney are from Miami, so that curse of Miami players not doing well at Nebraska, it appears to have ended as these two guys look like they're going to be great Huskers here down the road. But I thought Jamal Banks and Isaiah Naor have been great transfer additions as well. So it's exciting to see some of these new faces come in and meet some of the expectations as well.
Newcomers on defense, including a linebacker I know you like very well. Because the big names did not play, it gave other guys opportunities.
Yeah, it was kind of how they've geared the whole spring. The key veteran guys like Ty Robinson, Nash Hutmacher, Isaac Gifford didn't play. We saw Tommy Hill for maybe one series because he snuck on the field. But I think Matt Rhule has done a pretty good job of resting those guys. And that philosophy for him goes all the way back to his Penn State days playing for Joe Paterno. Joe Paterno was never a big believer of over-scrimmaging your veteran established players in the spring. And Matt Rhule feels like there's about 8 or 9 of those guys on this roster, and we've seen some of those players not take part in the major scrimmages because he wants to see what the other guys can do.
Yeah, kind of like an NFL early exhibition game. There's no need to play some of these guys, and especially the guys you know what you have. All right, now what? We're on portal watch, aren't we?
Yeah, portal watch. The portal will close on May 1, so for Nebraska, they have a late spring game, so not a lot of time. And you know, I'm glad Matt Rhule kind of specified that when I asked him, how does this all play out? Basically, you sign up for your meeting, and if there are guys that want to go in the portal before May 1, you know, they're gonna sign up for that meeting right away. Guys that are happy with their situation, they're gonna wait and do their meetings later here in the week or next week. So that will be what to watch. But also, will Nebraska take a player in from the portal? They've entertained an offer to a defensive lineman, a Division II player. Dylan Edwards, a running back who was at Colorado, at least he's being mentioned with Nebraska. Could they look at a quarterback? I mean, I think there's a lot of scenarios, and, you know, will there be surprise departures from this roster, too? That's another thing to keep tabs on because Matt Rhule has said his roster is being tampered with as well as just about every other roster in college football.
Yeah, you brought up the quarterback. He did say that, you know, he thinks his starter is in his quarterback room. But if there is a quarterback that can help his team, whether it brings depth or development, he's going to do that. He's not stupid, as he says.
Yeah, and it's just such a hard sell, though, because if you're a quarterback in the portal,
and you see Riola,
most of the time you want to have an opportunity to start. And it's going to be tough at Nebraska. So you'd have to find almost an older player like a Tristan Jebbie at Ohio State last year. He was a 7th-year senior that left Oregon State and Nebraska to go to Ohio State and knowingly ride the bench as a 7th-year senior. Can you find those guys, and is it worth it? I mean, is it worth the financial commitment because NIL would have to be involved with their current scholarship numbers, and there's a lot of general managing that goes on now that you didn't have to really worry about in college football before.
Well, at least on paper, for us, the next big thing is Big Ten Football Media Days. That's at the end of July. The season opener, August 31st, when the Huskers host UTEP here in Lincoln.